right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, when Adrian Autry took over as Syracuse's men's basketball coach, he had some very big shoes to fill. For 47 years, Jim Boeheim was the head basketball coach at Syracuse, and it's so hard not to think about the Orange without thinking about the Hall of Fame head coach and his legacy in Central New York. But all good things have to come to an end. And following Boeheim's retirement last spring, Syracuse decided to stay within their family when they made the decision to promote Adrian Autry, who played for Boeheim in the 90s and was also an assistant on the Hall of Fame staff since 2011. But even with that, you knew that there was going to be a transition period from Boeheim to Autry. And you just had to wonder how the program would look under their new head coach. Now, here in this season, so far, so good for Syracuse as they've won 20 games in a season for the first time since 2019, while they are currently fourth in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Now, defensively, the Cuse is not running as much zone as they did for so many years under Boeheim. And it has not been pretty at times for Syracuse, but they are winning nonetheless. Now, Syracuse was up and down throughout conference play until their 86-79 win last month over North Carolina. And since the Orange were able to upset the Tar Heels, this has been a different team. They've got a different bounce in their step as they've won 4 out of their last 5, which has helped them get through that logjam in the ACC up to fourth. You look at the regular season finale tomorrow for Syracuse at Clemson. It's going to be a big one because fourth place is on the line for the ACC. On top of that, an opportunity to build their tournament resume. Remember, Clemson came to Syracuse earlier this season and beat the Orange on their own home court. But nonetheless, you look at it, it's going to be pivotal again tomorrow night heading into the ACC tournament. Why? Because if you finish fourth, you get that double bye for the ACC tournament next week. And then on top of that, with the exception of Syracuse's first year in the ACC back in 2014, they have never finished higher than sixth in the league. And again, I can't harp on it enough. Getting that double bye will be big for the Orange as they head to DC for the ACC tournament next week. We've seen a changing of the guard in the ACC in recent years. John Shire replacing Coach K at Duke, Hubert Davis replacing Roy Williams at North Carolina. And Duke and Carolina have both transitioned smoothly to their new head coaches, respectively, of their men's basketball programs. And now it's Syracuse's turn. And just like Duke did, just like North Carolina did, Syracuse has turned to one of their own. Somebody who knows that program inside and out, and somebody who understands what it takes to succeed at that level, at this respective institution. So, with that said, you got a Syracuse team right now. They're 20-10. They're 11-8 in the ACC. That's got to count for something. Are they a tournament team right now? I'm not sure, but I'll tell you like this: finishing top 4 or top 5 in a conference like the ACC has to account for something. And I think it would be big going forward for Adrian Autry, and as he's looking to build his program, if he can get them dancing. You figure in Jim Boeheim's last 2 seasons at Syracuse, unfortunately, the Orange were not a tournament team. And honestly, with the exception of 2014, again, Syracuse's first year in the ACC, if they got to the NCAA tournament, and it was always like an 8 seed, a 9 seed, a 10 seed, an 11 seed. Granted, they did make the Final Four as a double-digit seed several years ago, but nonetheless, it wasn't and it hasn't been what we've been accustomed to for Syracuse for so many years in the Big East, when we would see them as a 1 seed, 2, 3, 4, 5, you name it. But nonetheless, I think going forward, this would be big for Adrian Autry if he can get this team to the NCAA tournament. So they're going to have opportunities over the next couple of days to beat a team like Clemson first tomorrow. And more than likely, these two teams could square off next week in DC in the ACC tournament. Syracuse definitely wants to, beat Clemson tomorrow night, of course, but then also try to win at least one game in the ACC tournament next week. And if you get that double bye, one win in the ACC tournament would get you to the semis, possibly for another meeting with the North Carolina team that you beat a couple of weeks ago. So it's one of those where, again, like I said, this is a building block for Adrian Autry in year number one. And again, like I said, just getting to the tournament would be the cherry on the top. Not as many expectations this year for Syracuse, and I think this team has definitely overachieved. And I can't harp enough on the job that Adrian Autry has done. Getting to 20 wins at the D1 level in basketball is not easy, especially when the bulk of that work has to come in a conference like the ACC. So let's see how Syracuse can finish off the regular season tomorrow night. Let's see what they look like next week in DC in the ACC tournament, and let's see if it's good enough for them to be one of the 68 teams going dancing in the NCAA tournament. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.